It's time for another retro re-release. Konami released Goonies on the Famicom 2 years before this, in February of 1986, the very same day that the Famicom Disk System launched. Goonies was, in many ways, the herald of a new age of gaming. An original game, not a port, with better graphics than anything seen on a console to that point, and some sharp gameplay and sound. It was Konami showing off their technical prowess and creating a game that's almost a response to Super Mario Bros. Goonies was pretty good, and it's back, in Famicom Disk System form. Though even with a cheap disc writer reissue of one of their popular games, Konami still isn't taking the easy route. There's a few minor differences between that original cartridge release and this disk system version. It basically comes down to getting rid of some cheap deaths. But Konami still took a little bit of time to make a better version of Goonies. Of course, Goonies is based on the 1985 Richard Donner film, in which a bunch of kids find a map to pirate treasure, and then have to evade local mobsters, and then make their way through trap-filled catacombs in order to find it. And the game follows that plot pretty closely, except with more bombs and kids getting locked in safes. You're playing as Mikey, leader of the Goonies, and on every one of the 6 stages, you have to rescue all of your friends, find all of the keys, and then make your way to the exit. Your friends' keys, and occasionally some other useful items, are locked in safes which have these big skull doors. To open those, Mikey has to blast them off. But to do that, he has to get bombs. And you get bombs by killing mice. I mean, how else would you get bombs? A jumps and B attacks, and Mikey's default attack is a little kick. It doesn't have huge reach, but it has more than enough that you won't be walking into enemies. Once you get a bomb, you can deploy it by pressing down and hitting B. Just be sure you get out of there after you drop the bomb, because those hurt you too. Another important feature to keep an eye out for on the stages are the skull gates. You can go through these to go to a different section of the level. These aren't warp points, it's more like a door to a sub-area. They never link together in any way that you can take advantage of. Besides the children and the keys that you can find inside safes, there are 2 kinds of items you can pick up. A potion that will restore 25% of your health, and a slingshot that will replace Mikey's attack. The slingshot has limited ammunition, but it is 50 shots, so it can last you quite a while. The slingshot also has the advantage that it can kill the ghost. Without that, you'll have to avoid it. Another special item that you can get from the gray mice is a cross, and that will make you invincible for a short time. How long depends on how much health you have left. And then there are the hidden items. These are scattered throughout the stages, and they have some kind of trigger that has to be used to find them. You might have to attack, crouch, jump, something. The most common item hidden like this are diamonds. Mostly you get them for the points, but also if you collect 8 of them, your health is restored to full. If you find a bag, it contains a special item that will make you invulnerable to some stage hazards. There's one for everything except direct contact with enemies. So if you get the headphones, then you're no longer hurt by the gangster that sings. And if you get the white fireproof suit, then you can walk right through flames. These are useful items to find, especially since they don't go away when you die, but none of them are required in order to beat the game. If you don't have the helmet that protects you from falling rocks, well, then you just dodge the falling rocks. And Goonies isn't an especially difficult game. When I played the cartridge version, I beat it in 20 minutes. Here I spent a lot of time goofing around and trying to find hidden items. You start out with 3 lives, but can earn extra ones by getting points. And when your lives run out, there are no continues. It's back to the beginning. Well, like I said, it's not an especially difficult game, and it is fun to play, so getting sent back to the beginning doesn't really feel like a hardship. Maybe the most challenging thing in Goonies is how enemies can appear right on top of you. But even then, you get plenty of warning, can step aside, and can often attack them right as they appear. Well, except the gangsters who always come in from the side of the screen, and after you hit them, they're just stunned for a short time. In Japan, Goonies is pretty well regarded. It's remembered as one of Konami's first big titles for the Famicom, and an all-around high-quality game. There is a problem with the Disk System version, though. Well, besides the loading time between stages. Back in 1988, Konami's license to produce the Goonies game was running out, and as a result, it was only available from the disc writer kiosks for a few months. So if you're looking for a disc copy of Goonies, you might have a hard time finding one. And do I really need to point out that this is a fantastic game? Really the first one that proved that Konami would be the masters of the 8-bit system. If you haven't played it, it's a must-play. You'll probably have an easier time finding the cartridge version, though.